Arana, and with me today is my husband, Chris Arana. We've been asked to share with you a little story about somebody very dear to our hearts. This person loves baseball, has a sweet tooth second to none, is brutally honest, and loves to hear a good joke. This person also has arthritis. As I read this description out loud, I could very well be describing my 69-year-old father. But today, I'm talking to you about my 6-year-old son, Gaven. These two characters, as we call them, are more alike than we could have ever imagined. A few months before Gaven's 3rd birthday, we both noticed that his left index finger was swollen. We both agreed that Gaven is all boy and he just hurt himself. Weeks went by and his finger continued to swell double of the size of his other fingers. By that point, Gaven was now complaining about how much it hurt, and we soon realized that he couldn't bend it. In fact, nobody could touch it without Gaven screaming inconsolably. It would set off a chain of events that neither one of us would ever have seen coming. It first started with ibuprofen and months on antibiotics from his pediatrician. We then went to 2 different hand surgeons who subjected Gaven to different imaging procedures. Gaven had stepped into numerous medical offices, but the common denominator was the comment, "It's inflammation, but we're not sure due to what." A compression glove was used and they opened up Gaven's finger to see what was wrong with it. We would spend 18 months searching for answers. As his mom, that very angry, grizzly mama bear was coming out. It's a horrible feeling to not have answers. It's horrible to see your child in pain and not be able to make it better. Looking back, we now see that all the pieces of the puzzle were there, but not even the medical professionals that saw Gaven could put them together. Gaven was referred to an occupational therapist to regain the strength and mobility in his finger while the doctor continued to determine a diagnosis. After the therapist hearing and seeing my frustration week after week, session after session, she was also very interested in his diagnosis, or the lack thereof. Then one day, she said, "Have you ever considered taking him to see a rheumatologist?" And me being in the dark at that point was, "A rheuma who?" I didn't know what a rheumatologist was. At that moment, she told me there are pediatric rheumatologists, kids get arthritis too. That was the first time I ever heard that phrase. I immediately began searching for the rheumatologists and pediatric rheumatologists in the area. I was in shock over how little specialists were available in my area, and even more in shock that none would see my son because of his age. After what seemed like forever, we were able to get an appointment with a pediatric rheumatologist. As my husband and I walked into the doors of the hospital with Gaven and our other children, I looked over to him with tears in my eyes, and I said, "If she can't tell us what's wrong with him, we're out of options." We didn't know where else to go. Within 15 minutes of the specialist examining him and reviewing his history with us, she was convinced that he did have a form of arthritis. In the following weeks of a more thorough examination of his entire body, in addition to an eye exam, and in October of 2012, Gaven was officially diagnosed with juvenile arthritis. We walked out of the hospital in tears of joy because we finally knew what was wrong and we had a treatment plan. But that was short-lived because we realized that the battle had only begun. Since then, Gaven visits the roomie for his arthritis and the ophthalmologist for uveitis, which is the eye disease associated with his type of arthritis. The inflammation in his eye due to his arthritis can cause blindness when not properly cared for. We learned at Gaven's first eye appointment that he was not able to see in his right eye for God only knows how long. I didn't know my son couldn't see. It went undetected by so many medical professionals during our journey, we would learn why. Juvenile arthritis is not only misdiagnosed most of the time, it's not diagnosed much at all because it's not a disease that most professionals are familiar with. Over the last 2 years, we have tried to find the silver lining in all of this, and we do what we can to make it up to our little warrior. Doctor visits are followed up with milkshakes, and hospital visits come with all-you-can-drink Mountain Dew passes. Shot night extends bedtime from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. and getting to leave early from school from a doctor's appointment is pretty darn cool. But at the end of the day, it's not fun or easy to have arthritis. It has changed Gaven's life and the lives of our families in a way that we could never have imagined. Gaven aches and hurts first thing in the mornings. During flares, his eyes hurt and are extremely sensitive to daylight, and it makes it hard for him to see and to start his day. Our days are consumed with doctor visits, occupational and physical therapy, pharmacy phone calls, lab work, the constant lookout for signs of flares, and the not knowing of what tomorrow may bring for Gaven or even our other children. Nausea, fatigue, exhaustion, mouth sores, swelling of the face, and loss of appetite are some of the side effects of his medication and the new normal for him. And then there is shot night. Shot night in our house does not mean happy hour. It's the night of the week when Gaven hides in fear of the pain of his injection. In my house, shot night is a two-person job with the magical soothing powers of a big brother. This is the hardest night of the week for all of us. It's the reminder of the chronic side of this disease. And before his diagnosis, neither one of us knew what the word chronic meant. As of September 2nd, 2014, for the first time since being diagnosed in 2012, Gaven is in remission. Amen. All joints are quiet, is what we were told. In my house, we celebrate victories in any way they come, even if we don't know how long it'll last. I wish it could last forever. It's not easy being on the sidelines, watching your child, watching what this disease does, and what the side effects of these medications do to him. It's not easy trying to soothe your child when you can't explain why there isn't a cure. On one shot night in particular, Gaven just lost it. He cried, and he screamed, "Why? Why do I have to have arthritis? It's not fair." That night we all cried. But we vowed to continue to fight for him. Gaven would be a warrior and take his medicines, even if they hurt or made him sick. And my husband and I committed ourselves to helping Gaven helping him in any way we could. So we tried to become more educated about this disease and give him the best care we could. By doing this, we learned about the Arthritis Foundation and their goals, and their mission to support research and support education and advocacy for this disease, and create social awareness for it, for all who have arthritis. For my son, for my father, for those in this room, for the 300,000 other children with this disease, and the 52 million Americans that live in this country with arthritis. Before we knew it, we were signed up for our first Jingle run and on a mission to raise a humble $200. By sharing Gaven's story with family and friends, in addition to a little pumpkin bread bake sale, we had raised over $1,200. The Jingle Bell Run is a great way to raise money and awareness, but for my Gaven, it gives him hope. With his own little eyes at the run, he can see that there's a lot more people that are on his side fighting for him, fighting for a cure. You have no idea his facial expressions that day and seeing so many people that were there to back him up. My family's goal this year is to raise $2,500 and to spread as much awareness as possible. Anybody that knows me knows that my biggest gripe and heartache other than Gaven's diagnosis is just how long it took for him to be diagnosed. So I feel that spreading awareness just might be my calling. We were honored to be asked to share Gaven's story with you today, and would like to ask you to find your calling. We challenge you to sign up for a sponsorship opportunity. Start a team of your own friends and family. We're recruiting because we can't be calm. There's 300,000. So if you're interested, Team Gaven's recruiting. Sign up to raise money. Start your own team to raise vital funds that this organization needs to find a cure. Share Gaven's stories, the stories of other foundation honorees here in this room. Start a lemonade stand. Design a fun t-shirt to sell. Bake cookies and sell them. Tell everybody you know that you are raising money for a good cause and that you want them to join this fight with you. One thing I can say for sure is that the arthritis that Gaven has, is not terminal. and for that I thank God. And it will not take him. But with the help of each person in this room, one day together we will take arthritis. Yep.
All right, great job. Chris and Desiree, thank you so much. Okay, so